Well, James JJ Jinky Gilmour, thanks for having us down to your Drossing, mate.
Much.
It's a nice to be part of the world. And we could go all the way back to the start, but let's talk about the recent times, CAEZAR.
Yeah.
You've just played a number of shows down south up here. I went to see, obviously I was at the Oranmore gig, and you played Bandstand as well, is that right, with the Pretenders?
We did, yeah.
So what was the deal with that? So it's yourself and Joe Donnelly started you came together, and did you just want to start something new, or was that something that came organically together and you thought after a night, spend a night on a sesh, we'll write some songs and that?
Not really, I mean, it was really Joe's idea. I established with my time in the music industry and also with my time with the Silencers that I wasn't really a team player. So it took me a while to realise that. It took me a while to realise that probably to be in a band, you've got to be part of the band. You've got to be one of the boys.
Aye.
And after a while, I thought I was too self-driven. I was too. There was a number of reasons why it didn't work for me, but I came to the conclusion after a good 6 or 7 years that it was probably the fact that I wasn't a good team player, and that just didn't work. And eventually I left the band. There would have been a lot of different reasons. So when Joe actually approached me about CAEZAR, and I remember their conversation. We were in the Cafe Gandolfi in Glasgow having a bit of food, and I said to Joe, I don't know if this is for me, Joe. I'm not a good team player. First of all, I don't want to let you down. Mm-hmm. It's fine to let yourself down, but not to let anyone else down. You can analyse and rationalise with yourself afterwards if you feel you've let yourself down, but letting somebody else down, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So I said to him, look, I'm not too sure where I am in my own journey at the moment, so I don't want to embark on another one. But in fairness to him, he pushed and pushed.
So at this point, did Joe already have a vision of what he wanted CAEZAR to be?
He certainly had an idea. He had a bunch of ideas, like structured song ideas. But he's a real visionary, Joe. He's a very interesting guy. But there's no doubt about it that CAEZAR wouldn't have been where it is, and it's very much in its infancy. Had it not been for Joe, I had no interest in joining another band as such, even though it's only two of us. Mm-hmm. Still a band, still guys in a band. I mean, when I play my gig next week in Edinburgh, then it's just me. And although I'm not telling any of the guys specifically that you can't do this or you must do this, it's still me. The buck stops with me.
Aye.
It's quite interesting. I mean, I said to Craig before we came here, listening to your music and the way you're singing, the lyrics, you can tell it comes from a kind of deep place.
Yeah.
And did you find being in a band kind of stifled that to a degree?
Only, but probably, to be honest with you, Stevie, it was because I felt at the time I was in the band that the other member of the band, Jimmy, was a better writer than me, because he was the guy that I looked up to. And so I was almost scared to present my ideas to him. So from that aspect, I felt if I'm going to be a writer of me, just of Jinky Gilmour, or then it has to be, I have to take myself out of this situation. So that probably lent itself quite well to not putting my ideas forward for the Silencers. It gave me an out as well.
You were a fan of the Silencers before you joined them, so you said that. Was it intimidating joining that kind of band?
Yeah, that's what was kind of interesting me. That's why I specifically one of the reasons I brought up CAEZAR first, because knowing that he's played the Kelvin Grove Bandstand with the Pretenders, does that come almost full circle when you met them? Were they on tour with the Pretenders at the time?
They were on tour. They were doing it. Of course, it gets slightly confusing because we're talking back in the day, 87, 86.
Yep.
They were touring America with Squeeze, and they were doing some dates with the Pretenders, which I've now found out was in Europe rather
Right.
than America. They
Right.
played like they were doing amazing things like Madison Square Gardens with Squeeze. Squeeze were a big band in America. So it did come back full circle, and I think that so it really was. It was really Joe rekindling a fire that obviously hadn't gone out in him. That fire must have laboured in Joe
Right.
for all those years, and he's just at some point he said, "I'm going to do this again."
That's another chat that Craig and I had on the way up here. Is like, you hear a lot of bands, and their first two albums are just they're different. They come from a different place, and people kind of get comfortable, I think.
Yeah.
And then they start churning out material. And again, not just because we're sitting in front of you, but it seems, and maybe Joe to that degree, he's got that same passion, and he just wants to keep that alive, and it's coming from the right place, the music,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
It does, totally. I mean, I think Joe, because he's been out of the industry and because he's not been, he's certainly not been fractured by the same stuff that comes to you from remaining in it all the time.
Aye.
Because you don't, obviously, people might puncture my ball, but they're never going to let all the air out of it. I'm the only one that can do that. I'm the only one that can let the air out of my ball. People will say to you, the industry's moved on, and there's certain things happen in the industry now that you don't tick that box. But that doesn't make any difference to me.
Aye, that's
You
great.
know, it's easy to look at something like Steps or any of the boy bands that are making a big resurgence again. You know, Boys to Men, all these boy bands that are actually coming back. But they never made any difference to me in what I do. You know, Will Young never did me any harm. He was that different. People that bought Will Young records never bought any of my records.
Aye.
I don't think.
Might find out.
Well, I mean, even if they did, that's great,
Aye,
because
absolutely.
I buy Frank Sinatra and Lulu, or Sasha Distel because your mammy listened to it.
Aye.
So yeah, maybe I'm wrong there, and I probably hope I am. But
Did you know that's what you wanted to do when you were younger? Did you get to a point where like, I'm going to strive to do this, or did you get to a point it's like I could actually do this for a living?
I knew I was going to do it. I knew I was. I knew from the moment I was young. I had my first TV performance when I was 6 on a kids' TV show, and that was it. There was, it would have had to have been something. I would have had to have been sideswiped,
Aye.
or somebody. I mean, I've genuinely been given offers of golden eggs to get out of the industry. Not someone pulling me away from it, just saying, this is a possibility for you if you do something with me. But the big picture would be that it would mean that I would need to leave the music industry. And I think regardless of how the size of the venues, it wouldn't matter. I'll continue. It's in you. It's in your blood. I gave up everything for the music industry, everything, including probably my marriage. I wouldn't like to blame the music industry on my marriage, but it wasn't conducive to a good marriage.
Aye. I mean, it's funny when you mention that, because a lot of your songs are. I think there was a quote saying like when you left the Silencers, you wanted to have your music more acoustic and more melancholic. I think I read that right. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Was that because you wanted it from a sonic point of view, or was that because you thought, this is how I'm feeling, I want to get this out through my music?
I think the thing is, in a band, you need, it's like going to work every day. You've got your work colleagues, you've got your pals that you see in work, but you can close the door at 5 o'clock, or say, if you finish a 9 to 5 or a 12 to 8 or whatever shift you do, you can close the door on those people. I don't mean that to be cynical. I just mean those are your working pals. Those are the guys that you go to work with, or the girls that you go to work with. You might not necessarily socialise with them. They might not be social pals. When you're in a band, it tends to be you're a real unit, and if there's any fracture at all in that, if there's any cracks in that, they'll be found out.
Aye.
Because you spend so much time with one another. I mean, we'd be on the road sometimes for like 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a long time to be spending with someone
24/7
that you're not getting on with. You know, and there was relationships that broke down in the band, but that's perfect. That's like a marriage or a brother that you don't get on with, or a sister that you keep fighting with, and so what you do is you try and take yourself away from that.
Aye.
But when you're on the road in a tour bus, there's nowhere to go.
Aye. Did you find yourself having to put on a front more so to the people that are buying tickets and buying the albums, like, because they obviously just want to see the band and they're touring musicians, and they're my heroes or idols or my favourite band or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And
still like that.
You know what I mean?
You've still got to be, the art of entertainment.
Aye.
Is to do your job, regardless of what's going on in your personal life. That's like you taking your baggage into work. Nobody wants to hear it. It's just the same for a singer. I can't go up on stage and say, listen, I'm feeling terrible today, or I'm feeling elated. People just, you know, I was once doing a gig with Bob Geldof in Coventry, and some guy shouted up from the audience, "Oh, shut up and sing." Fortunately not to me, but to Bob Geldof. And his response was hysterical. Typical Geldof. He took the guy to task, but the guy wasn't interested in hearing Bob Geldof's stories about what he just wanted to hear rat trap.
Or sing the fucking songs.
Exactly, just sing your songs.
Aye.
Geldof got him put out the gig, which is so typical. I don't know, but I don't proclaim to be Bob Geldof's friend. But I got to know him, and I got on really well together. But yeah, so it's your job.
Aye.
You can imagine you going in every day and telling someone things aren't any better than yesterday.
Aye. Do you get that though? Like, even off stage, if somebody comes up and sees you after a gig or something like that, and it's your personal time, do you ever feel like, I can't be fucked with this? But it's not because I'm, you know, I don't want to be an arsehole or anything like that, but I really just want time with myself. But is that when you need to feel you need to put on a front a wee bit? Well,
the thing is that you do, if you do your job and you do it right,
aye,
you'll put your gig face on. If you're not in the mood, 9 times out of 10 I am in the mood anyway, because I love playing. That's what I love doing. So you're on a winner straight away. You're in a good mood straight away. The after part of it is, to me, is as critical as the stage part of it, because, you know, people have taken time out of their lives, you know, to come and see you and pay money in and buy your records and tell you how good you are. And no matter how many times they tell you that, you never get sick of it, because that's what keeps you going. So, of course, you've left a sick daughter or a mother that's not very well, or a dog that's been ran over. But surely for that time, for that time that the person's dedicated to you, you can give them the best. And I used to say that even in the band. I didn't profess to be, you know, the writer of it, but I always used to say to the guys, not always, but from time to time, I'd say to the guys, listen, this is the entertainment industry.
Aye.
Your job's to entertain. So let's go and do it. Let's get out there. And, you know, we would have if football teams have a huddle, we would have a similar thing in the dressing room. We would all huddle and grab one another and just, for that time, just lift everybody. Because after all that, you have to go back to being who you are, the person that isn't idolised, the person that...
Aye, absolutely.
Is there a big difference between the Jinky that's off stage and the one that's on stage?
Without a doubt. I mean, I spend a lot of my life wondering who the guy is on stage and hoping and wishing you could be him.
Aye.
You know, because he's the party clown. He's the guy that can, you know, people come up to you, oh, that was amazing, you were absolutely amazing. I'd love somebody to walk past me in the street one day and go, that's an amazing walk you've got there, mate. Or you know, your hair's fantastic, or just things like that where
I'd
people
fucking love somebody to say, that's an amazing walk you've got. I swear to God.
You know, but can you imagine, you know, that, because it really, you know, there's another thing that you learn as you go on, fan being short for fanatic.
Aye.
And people are very forgiving, and they always say things like, you're amazing. But when you're trying to digest that, and you know you're not amazing, you're hardly going to burst the bubble. You're hardly going to say, well, actually, I'm just an ordinary guy.
Aye.
For that 15 minutes, I want to be your hero. I want to be the person that you think I am. I might not be that person. I certainly don't feel that I am most of the time. But for that 15 minutes, I want to be your hero. I want to sing the song. You know, you find singers or entertainers that will say, everybody in the audience should think that you're singing the song directly to them. Mm-hmm. And that's an art. That's an art. That doesn't come... That's like learning how to be the best goal scorer in the team. Aye.
It's interesting that you say that there's that entertainment factor, that you've got that gig face on and you need to do that before, during and after shows. But the interesting thing is, like, a lot of your songs they're written almost like there's that honesty about it. So you're literally telling people how you're feeling through songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's almost, that's when you can let the facade down, when it's a, you know, certain song or it's got certain lyrical content to it, you know, because there's certain songs that really resonate with different people, and I know I listen to certain songs and go, that really hits home, and Lil said the same. Lil's got a favourite song, especially of Dees, Ain't Life a Funny Thing, and it just really hits with her lyrically, and you know what I mean, that's important, and it just seems as I don't know if there's maybe just a lack of honesty in music nowadays. So it's always good that you're still doing it, and I mean, have been for the last however many years.
I mean, Ain't Life a Funny Thing was born out of the fact that, you know, I went into my house in Donegal one day and just fell to my knees. You know, and the lyric in the chorus where it says, I know I saw it coming right at me, but it was still a surprise, was that, as I would call, the black dog coming at your door, and you could see him coming, but it's still a surprise. You never for a moment thought he was coming. You know, I say he, it's probably a sexist thing to say, but it was, that's what that song was born out of. Now, I've had a few people say to me, you should go one time and just do an audience with JJ Gilmour and explain what your songs are. And to a certain extent, that's probably not a bad thing to do, but I think a lot of my songs tell the truth anyway.
Yeah, and I suppose in a certain sense, it's nice for people to interpret them how they want it as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even though that, as you say, it does tell it quite plain and simple.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, even the cynical man from Dees, I was talking to Graham Duffin about it, and Graham said, what's that song about? And I said, it's about me. And he went, but you're not some of those things. But I was. You know, he didn't see some of those things, but I do. You know, and rather than being hypercritical of yourself or too much self-analysis of yourself, you try to, you know, you try and be transparent and honest and say, well, look, I'm not going to shoot myself here, and I'm going to, but you do beat yourself up, and lyrically, I do beat myself up, but that's just because I want to be better.
Yeah.
See with a song like that, you know, you've said you fell to your knees. How does a song spark from that? At what point do you pick up the pen and paper and start writing and start structuring a song from that? Is it there and then, and that's where you go? It's
never there and then, because there and then you're in the turmoil of it. I never can write in the turmoil. It's usually after the storm that you can write.
Sure.
Well, certainly I can write anyway, but because those memories are so vivid. You know how they say that the human mind can remember every single thing that you ever did.
Mm-hmm. Can you believe that?
So if there's such a prolific memory, there's such a prolific... I don't know about you, but I get times in my life where I almost shake with a memory. I think, oh God, that actually happened to me. Did that? And it just rattles you in your tracks. And you go, especially times where you've been wrong about something, or you've done something that you regret, that really rocks you. You're like, oh dear, was that me? And you think, why did I remember that? But I don't know this to be true, but I think I read somewhere that the mind and the memory can remember absolutely every single thing that you've done, and at any given point, what is it that makes us remember something in a moment where you don't want to remember it, particularly if you're down?
Aye, but there's that thing as well, and I certainly, from experience, I'll have like a trigger, so maybe a song or something like that. I'll be watching the TV and I'll instantly feel a wave of emotion come right over me. Do you know what I mean? But not realise why, and it's clearly because it's been, I don't know if I've never seen something on the telly or I've heard a certain lyric in a song or something like that, and it's just sparked that subconscious thing in my brain, like say it's a memory or something like that that's maybe been I've blocked out, forgotten about, whatever, and it's come right back. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
But that's what I thought can actually seem real.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts can actually seem real, but they're not. They're just a thought. But you can make them real. In your head, you've got them. You've made it real. And, you know, I've thought of the most bizarre things in my life, and you have to sit down and think. If I'm tired and I'm watching something and there's a serial killer on, and it's a program in one of those loose channels that you never watch. If I'm tired enough, I think, wonder if I'm a serial killer. But that's how the mind. Your mind is such a delicate matter that it's so capable of. There was something that the wee guy that plays for Hearts, Naismith, he was in a bit of a fracas with a Celtic player, and he used a term that's used very loosely. He said, "Oh, I just saw the red mist." But the red mist is actually real. People flare up. My mind can make a red mist. In my mind, I've saw myself breaking my teeth with a key.
It's trying to figure out what triggers that. Where does that come from? You're right, but I can't remember the exact figures, but it's something like the mind, every single second of your life, your mind's processing something like 3 million bits of information. You think of that, and it's deleting the bits it doesn't need or distorting it to fit your view, and that's where you say your thoughts are real, and it will distort reality to fit your reality.
Yeah.
Aye.
I mean, that's amazing.
Fascinating thing.
It is. It's totally fascinating.
And all that, where that all comes from, you know, when you're grown up and the way you're brought up, your beliefs, your values, and all they're instilled. So Craig might see the world completely different. It's the exact same bit of information, but he's been brought up different from me, so he's going to see that differently.
Absolutely.
And to bring it back to music, I use music that way to take me to moments in time, whether it's positive or negative. I might want to go grieve, and I'll use a bit of music that's going to help me grieve and release that emotion, or positively something that's going to get me amped up. So music's just intrinsic within my life.
Well, I mean, it is for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people will write to me and say things, different things. Some of the more sort of clearer images that spring to mind, or clear memories that spring to mind, or, you know, somebody wrote to me from America and said that their boyfriend or fiance take his own life in his car while listening to my music. And you think, did I help him along with that last moment? By that, I mean, was I some sort of comfort to him, or that he actually maybe used my music for that, or was my lyrics maybe a bit too heavy, that he was using them as a tool to say, yeah, that's you know, that's what the mind is such a strong thing. It's such a, you know, if you take certain aspects, for instance, if you get 3 bits or 4 bits of bad news and you start piling up on top of one another, all of a sudden, if you just did one of those pieces of news, it might be doable.
Yeah.
But if the second bit comes, and then the third bit comes, and the fourth bit comes, they always talked about Margaret Thatcher, that she would divide and conquer. So she would separate things, and that's how she was so powerful and so strong. And that was mind over matter. She apparently, again, she slept for 4 hours a night. She didn't need any more sleep. She was such a driven woman, and not a woman that I liked. You know, I didn't share any of her political views, and nor did I admire what she did. But driven,
Aye,
driving the mind. So, you know, see when something terrible happens, and we say, "Oh, that's not natural," or "That's wrong," and people say, "Oh, you can't fix that. They're just wired differently." But we try and rationalise and try and analyse what they've done, thinking that these people might think like we think.
Aye.
But they don't. Like you said, Craig might see the world through entirely different eyes from you.
absolutely.
Even your brother, you might have absolutely completely polar apart views from your own blood.
Absolutely. There might have been something that's one incident that set you off down a different path. How does that feel? You know, you mentioned the chap over in the US and you got that letter. How does that feel? Do you feel a sense of responsibility there in terms, I don't mean responsible for a chap doing that, but, you know, having been that kind of figure within somebody's life, that's the last thing you listen to. How does that feel? I can't even contemplate that.
Nor could I until I'd actually saw it. But does it not? Can you? What you try and do is try and put it in the melting pot of the people that write to you and say, "We'll never forget this day. We were married on this day. We walked out." I mean, I got a letter last week saying that we spoke to the guy about a song that you sang. The guy did it at our wedding. We're 20 years married. And we're playing this song today, and it's you, and this was the reason. You know, you were who we walked down the aisle to, or it was our first dance. So, I suppose it's a bit like taking the good with the bad, isn't it? You have to think, can you have that much impact on someone's life? And of course you can. You know, you look at stadium fillers, U2 and Coldplay, and it's almost like if Bono raised his hand and asked the 50,000 to raise their hand along with him, most of them would, because he's got that influence on people. They might be drawn just with a euphoric wave for that moment that's just hit the crowd, and they've all, you know, like-minded. They've all stuck their hand up and support of Bono because he's asked them to do it. You know, maybe if you asked them to do something a bit more cynical, they would probably have to analyse that a bit differently. But
no chance, Bono.
Aye,
fuck you, Bono.
You have certain things that you've got. That's what I mean. Like fans, you know, of your music and what you do. It's not the real world. Do you ever see that? There's a great sketch with William Shatner on Saturday Night Live, and it's all the Trekkies. And it's a spoof on like a Star Trek weekend, and they ask him all these questions about Houlihan or whatever that woman's name was, and Spock and all these other Houlihan, and it's and they get into the fine detail, the kind of minutiae or whatever that terminology is of the detail of this thing, till eventually William Shatner says to them, "Can you people not just get a life? You know, none of this happened." I don't mean that to be, but if your music moves somebody, and it's got a part to play in someone's life, then it's again, you need to take the good with the bad. It's like a journalist writing, "I went to see this band and I thought they were shit." That really has an effect on you.
Aye.
As much as another 50 people can come to you that day and tell you were good, but there's no doubt that lasting effect of that guy or girl saying that you were shit will have an effect on you.
I think the way technology's moved on as well, that's more prolific, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where people can hide behind a screen and quite happily. It's even on,
keyboard warriors.
not that I sit and watch it, but it's even on like porn channels and stuff like that, where people can say, it was an amazing video, but that guy ruined it at the end. I'll not go further than that. But it's to that level. Do you know, it's a guy sitting in his mum's basement eating Wotsits, and you think, come on, and you're commenting away, but it's so prolific now where people have got that access. And I suppose it must be so difficult to let that run off your back and not take it in.
That's when you're in the public domain, then you have to then realise that you're in the public domain. You're not just it's like going to your work, isn't it? For that 8 hours, you'll be analysed by your boss and by your boss's boss, and for how you behave and how you've came to work, and if you shaved, and have you get the lager goggles on? Do you smell a drink from the night before? So, like, for me to go to my work, it's that people will come and see you and they'll analyse what you do, and if it's not good enough, they're going to make a comment on it. Billy Sloan made an interesting comment about what I do, and he said that the one thing about you is you never shirk a tackle. You always go there and you always do the goods, and and you always perform to the best of your ability. You never dip a note. You never slide. You never shirk a tackle was his terminology, and I thought that's probably a good example of me, even before I go on stage, and I might not be feeling the best, whether that be physically or mentally. You've got your job to do. Try and do your job.
Absolutely. I mean, I can testify to that. I've seen you a number of times in different capacities, whether it's been working at the venues you've been playing, or whether it's been coming along to gigs as a punter. Do you know what I mean? It's exactly as you say. Do you know what I mean? And maybe there has been times you've come in, you've maybe not been feeling exactly the same as you have been at other gigs, but as soon as you go on stage, that's when it is. It switches on, and you're there to do exactly what you do best. I mean,
I was at some of my worst times in my life when I had to go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you know there is a performer and a me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at the absolute end of my rope, if I can even use that terminology, where you just thought there's potentially no tomorrow for me.
Aye.
But that night you've been on stage performing, and for that hour and a half, I'm grateful for music in my life. Absolutely grateful, and I mean in any shape or form. I won't surrender and go and do the cruise ships and pretend that I'm Matt Monroe or anything. And I won't. I won't. There's certain things that I won't do, but I'm still grateful if 50 people come and show up. I never wanted to be the Rolling Stones or U2 anyway. I don't think I could handle that scrutiny, because that is a different gig. That's a whole different. Imagine the life that they've got. We had a 15-minute window of that. My favourite story ever about that is when you're at the sort of top of your game. And I was coming out one of these peep shows in Paris one time, and this guy was taking my picture. And I mean, I don't speak French very well at the moment, but I couldn't speak a word of French back then, apart from parlez-vous anglais? And he said, yes, I speak English. And I said, could you please not print that picture? We were a big band at the time, and big in France, and playing headlining some of the festivals to like 100,000 people. And I said, please don't print that picture. And as it transpired, I turned out actually the guy was actually taking pictures of the Sacré-Cœur, which was behind the Pigalle. Didn't take pictures of me at all. Start getting ideas above your station, as if everybody in the world knows you.
Yeah.
And that those are wee constant reminders that there's a lot more to life. Music is a big part of people's lives. They choose it for their weddings. It could be for the christening of their child. It could be people choose it for their funerals.
Mm-hmm.
This is the song we fell in love to. Mm-hmm. All those things. So it is an important thing in your life, and you do have a certain responsibility to it and to perform it. But for me, it's a joy. It's a joy when I sing. It's a joy. It's beautiful.
What was the soundtrack to your life? So when you were growing up, what inspired you, or what were you hooked into?
initially I was hooked into songs when I was young, so that could be anything from Sinatra to watching a movie with Doris Day in it and she was singing in it, or watching a film with, you know, New York with Sinatra and Gene Kelly, and they'd be singing everywhere they went. So that was my early introduction to it, and then punk came along, and I found music in punk. I found like the Clash and the Pistols were wasn't just like songs that, like Pretty Vacant and God Save the Queen, they were all great songs, like really great songs. Even although John Lydon wasn't a great singer, he put them over amazingly. And then you'd be listening to like the Clash, Sandinista album, and Give Him Enough Rope. You'd be listening to Ian Dury singing, you know, the what's Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick. You know, brilliant lyrics. And then I could be listening to John Ford Coley and England Dan singing this big wicked American ballad, and people are going, can't you listen to that? You're a punk. But you can listen to anything. So the storyboard of my life was music in general. I can listen to anything. You know, I struggle to listen to people like Kylie. I don't think Kylie's a great singer. I think she there's a lot of great songs that she does, and she does them to the best of her ability, but she's not a singer, and it's more a kind of it's more, rather than music, I see that more as cabaret. Kylie, it's not really, it's the same with Take That. It's just Pretty Boys and cabaret, and that's fine. It's got its place. There's nothing wrong with it. And
it's like a machine, that kind of thing, isn't it? It's just there's something behind it, and they've got the marketing behind them, and you're right in what you're saying. It's a beauty parade.
It is, and also it was always like that. Motown were doing that 50 years ago, finding three black kids that could dance and sing, and it just so happened that Motown produced a lot more than Simon Cowell did, because they were probably a bit more fussy about talent. Now we've got machines that can auto-tune voices, and that's everything's got its place. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean to say it isn't good. It took me years to realise that. I've
got there now as well. Yeah. Before I liked what I liked. Same as yourself now, where if I like something, I like it. But even the things I don't like, I think you can watch other people's appreciation of it and the joy they get from it and think, right, fair enough, you get that from it. They might not agree with what I listen to.
I like to think I've got such an eclectic mix of music. Do you know what I mean? Like Lil will tell you, I've listened to like Hans Zimmer doing a lot of the musical scores and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll put on like a Rammstein DVD, and she'll come down and go, "What the fuck is that German cunt singing?" Do you know what I mean? I know about that, but then the thing about that is, I'll look at the production values of that, and it'll be pyro everywhere and a massive stage set, and that's like in that sense the biggest form of entertainment. So it's as you say, there's something there for everybody, and you know, you can't judge people for what they like, you know what I mean, regardless of what it is.
And it's the old age-old saying again, isn't it? If we all liked the same, life would be boring.
Exactly.
I took my two daughters to see Bruno Mars and Dua Lipa at Glasgow Green, because that's what they like. And I took them to see that, and then the following week I went to see Pearl Jam with my brother down at the O2 in London. And it was just two completely different experiences. Yeah. Bruno Mars and Dua Lipa was, as you say, it was the beauty parade. It was the pyro going off, and the production values were fantastic. And that's what I focused in on, the production and coordinated dancing. Went to see Pearl Jam. It was just all about the music. That's all it was about.
Yeah.
They turned the house lights on in Pearl Jam, and they stayed on stage and just played through, because there were guys up there loving what they do.
Aye. And listen, so Bruno Mars, you love what he does as well.
Aye.
And you're right, it is the catwalk a lot of the time. But you know, when you see like Wee Marcone and Jason Orange and whoever, you know, Will Young and all these guys, they'll be loving what they do. Ollie Murs,
Aye.
You know, I mean, if bands like that were playing out the back, I'd shut the blinds. But that doesn't mean to say it isn't any good and it doesn't have a purpose. I mean, it has that much of a purpose that it fills Wembley and Hampden Stadium. That's how much of a purpose it has. So I can go and watch Leonard Cohen, and people go, how can you watch Leonard Cohen? How can you go and watch somebody like him? I mean, you know, there's nothing upbeat about Leonard Cohen. But it's just this kind of, to me, he's almost like he's like a shaman or something. He's like this, you know, godlike figure that preaches to you through music, and you know, and then you get somebody like Alexander Burke murdering, you know, Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And you just think, but again, she's got a career in the West End. The girl's good. She's obviously got a talent. She won the dancing show, you know, the whatever it's called, Strictly. I think she won that. Maybe she didn't, but she went a big way through it from what I can gather. So just because I don't like what Alexander Burke does, I'd rather she didn't touch Leonard Cohen's song.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd rather, but I was listening to Paddy McAloon, who's from you guys are a wee bit younger than me, probably a good bit younger than me, but he played in a band called Prefab Sprout. Brilliant band. He's a great writer and stuff. But turns out that I was listening to an interview with his on an old catch-up thing on Radio 2. And it turns out that Kylie Minogue covered one of his songs. And it didn't really bother him. And I thought, that's a great attitude. You know, it shouldn't, you know. So I think there's part of you wants to be really cool. There's part of you wants to be the next cool thing that's coming. But there's another part of you wants Ronan Keating or Michael Bublé to cover your song so that everybody can get to hear your song.
Yeah.
And I almost got that. Kenny Rogers was sitting on one of my songs for 6 or 7 years, 8 years. I say he was sitting on it. His management company were sitting on it. A guy called Jim Mazza from Dreamcatcher Management who looked after Kenny Rogers pretty much his whole career. And they loved this song of mine. And I thought, every bit of me wanted Kenny Rogers. I'd much rather that Leonard Cohen had sang it or Willie Nelson even maybe. But Kenny Rogers, I just thought, wow, even for them to be considering that. The fact that it never happened does disappoint you, and it does, you know, it leaves you with a bit of, oh, that's a real bummer.
Well, I suppose it goes back to what I was saying before again, where your mind probably went with that.
Yeah.
You'd probably already created this picture in your mind of, geez, the world's going to hear my song.
Yeah.
And then to have that,
to come down from that.
I know, it must have been horrible.
I was talking to my pal last week. She's a consultant doctor, and she said, we were talking about that, the highs and the lows. And she said, I think you're probably at a good age now where you should just go along in a almost monotone fashion and just don't jump up there anymore.
Yeah.
And don't go down there anymore. Try and stay there. And I'll use that as a yardstick because nobody had ever pointed it out to me before. That just when you think you've got this special thing, just try and analyse that a wee bit more, rationalise that a wee bit more, and realise that it probably won't make a vast difference to your life. But it's hard when you're elated.
I mean, do you think that, I suppose, do you think that can be slightly a pessimistic view?
You certainly could say that. I think it's if you do suffer from any kind of mental health issues, which, you know, I don't have any problems admitting to, it's probably not a bad way to live your life. It's like, I'm sure, I don't know if you're familiar with cognitive therapy, CBT.
A little bit.
You know, cognitive therapy kind of trains you in a way that these are how you should analyse your thoughts. This is how you should maybe process that thought and find somewhere to put it. But you lose the skills. It's a wee bit like not being back on the bike. You never forget how to do it, but you lose a bit of your skill factor on the bike or the skateboard or whatever it is that you're on. you have to kind of go back in and have a wee look at it. And I've started looking at it a wee bit more recently, and just to get yourself on an even keel, so that probably when you do get news like that, because there's a bit he wants that news as well. There's a bit he wants
definitely.
Michael Bublé and Kenny Rogers and for want of a better word, Ollie Murs to sing your song. There's a bit he wants that, because it's, you know, that's I suppose it's really confirming everything that you believed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we spend a lot of our time, possibly, I certainly do, thinking that I'm maybe not good enough for a lot of things. But you've got to hang your coat on something.
Aye.
You've got to believe in something. If you don't believe in anything, particularly for me with songs, I've got to believe that I'm all right at it.
Well, you're out there doing it. I mean, how many people can actually say they're out there? That's their bread and butter. That's what they do for a living.
Yeah.
No matter what level you're at, you know, you're out there doing it.
Aye, you're right, and it doesn't get any easier either. It doesn't. By that, it doesn't get any harder, but it doesn't get any easier. It doesn't. You can't go out there and just expect people to show up time and time again without doing something different. Not deliberately different. By that, I mean by recreating something else, or creating something else. Not recreating, but creating something else, so that they've got something fresh to come back to. And you're right. There's not many people out there. There's people, because people, you know, you have a safe option. You have kids.
Mm-hmm.
They need fed. They need clothes. They need water. You know, they need all the things that our parents gave us.
Mm-hmm.
If we were lucky enough, they gave us them. And so you would never see yours not having any less than you had. If anything, you want them to be better than what you had. And, you know, just because that's what we want. You want the best for you know, your kids. But yeah, so as I said earlier, I gave up a lot for that. I gave up a lot to do that, and so I expect some sort of return. The music industry doesn't owe me anything and such, but I do desire a return from it.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that's natural, because, as you say, like Craig and I have both got kids, and we perhaps get something from that.
Yeah.
As you say, you've given everything away to sacrifice for your craft.
Yeah.
And it's getting something back from that.
I mean, I'm sure if you spoke to my ex-wife, fortunately we're still good friends, Deirdre would have a different take on why our marriage didn't work out, and I don't know whether she would just say, actually, it wasn't that at all. That's what you thought it was. It was actually this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We'll try and get her on the next podcast and we'll find out.
Yeah, she'd probably tell you as well. But it's so... I have given up a lot. I have given up a lot of... Not me, I haven't given any of me away, because this is what I love to do, but I've given away maybe the possibility of a more material life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think material objects, or having a Mercedes instead of an Astra, makes any difference. I actually quite like my Astra, and I like when it goes a wee bit faster than my last car, which was a smart car. And of course, I bought a camper, and I'd loved it to have been a big Winnebago, but
big RV,
but it wasn't. It was, it is what it is. But I do expect some sort of return from music, just to because if I don't get that, then I can't keep doing it. I can't go out and play gigs. I can't, and if I don't put my time and effort into it, you'll get nothing from it. So when I do put my time and effort into it, like even this morning, I was noising up my publisher in Paris, saying, "What about this last batch of songs that I sent you? Is there anything in there that's tickling your fancy?" I think there's one song in there, two songs in there actually, that I think could be really good. Might not necessarily be for me. One of them's a song called Light Up that I think could be great for a young, enthusiastic male or female that I wrote with a guy from Sweden. And I think that could be a really good song for somebody else. But that's that. So I'm prodding. I do expect a wee bit of return from it, and one day I certainly don't dream anymore about Kenny Rogers doing my song or Bono phoning me up and saying, oh, I heard that track. But there's still a tiny wee bit in the back of your mind as a wee dreamer. You think, somebody will pick up one of my songs one day, because there's too many people that I've worked with that have reached dizzier heights than I have in the music industry that say your songwriting's good. I remember talking to John Lawler from the Fratellis about 6 or 7 years ago, and he said, see the last track on your album, The Boy Who Didn't Fall, the song The Boy Who Didn't Fall, that's an amazing song. I mean, this is a young guy that had, written a song now that's played in pretty much every football stadium and American football stadium. That the album, was it Costello, that album?
I think so.
That
couldn't be sure.
Was selling millions, and John was doing well for himself, and here he was saying to me, so for every knock that you might get intentionally or unintentionally, there's always someone there that'll say, that song's fantastic, that song's beautiful. Somebody said that to the other night about Glasgow Town, the song Glasgow Town. Say that song's absolutely beautiful. I wanted Paul Buchanan from the Blue Nile to sing that song, but c'est la vie. I ended up singing it myself because nobody else was going to do it.
Everybody latches on to something different. I mean, I can remember one of the first times I'd seen you live. I think I was actually maybe working the gig. I can't quite remember. And it was Wild Child that you played, and it instantly just it struck me, and I was like, that was going through my head, and that was like, I need to search it. I need to see what album this is on, and that was the song that spurred me to pick up or listen to your albums. Do you know what I mean? And I think, like you say, like John from the Fratellis, The Boy Who Didn't Fall, that was the one that kind of stuck him, and I think that'll be the same for a lot of people. Glasgow Town of Decent, that's the beauty of it all, because it's all you need is that one song to introduce you, taking somebody's entire back catalogue to really show you what good songs you've got. And
I think that because of the previous success with the Silencers, you can't stop believing because you've already done it. Albeit that I was mainly the singer in that band and the young guy, with the boyish looks and maybe a wee bit of the catwalk, get the wee guy in with the boyish looks and he can sing a wee bit but there's a sense of belief in me to think that I don't think it's beyond the realms that if we done it once, why you couldn't do it again.
Is it harder now? Obviously, the music industry's in a different place now. Is it harder now, or is it just different?
I'm not sure how. I don't think it's any harder. I really don't. I think that young guys like Paolo Nutini can just jump out the box and people can hear it and just go, I don't care what he looks like or what kind of attitude he's got. Listen to the guy singing. He's what a great singer, and he's got great songs. And so I think that's still there. I think it possibly for younger people, I think it might be easier. I think you can make a living on your own now in the music industry. I think young people...
I think there's a certain element that's true, but I think the other edge of the sword is, I can listen to somebody asking, who do you think will be the next big band? In the realms of what we used to have, your Rolling Stones, your U2, your AC/DC. And somebody made a good point about saying, I don't think there ever will be to that level again because of how difficult it is to make money, because of your music streaming and stuff like that, because of how music record deals have changed.
But try telling Ed Sheeran and Coldplay that.
Well, exactly. Do you know what I mean? And they're the ones that, I suppose Coldplay, they've been about for a long while. Do you know
15 years now at least.
So for newer artists, maybe this is maybe my point is, for new artists who are aspirations to do what you were doing when you were out of school.
Maybe rock and roll. Maybe this is the wrong time for a rock and roll band to do it again. Rock and roll, I think, will come back round again.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do as well. I think a lot of the young people that are listening to their dad's favourite band are getting a bit sick of, what's out there at the moment. I'm not completely up on what's out there, but there is a lot of...
I was just about to ask you, actually, is there any new music out that you're listening to now?
mean, Ed Sheeran's dragging around a guy with him and has been for about 2 or 3 years, maybe longer, 5 years, a guy called Foy Vance.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I mean, Foy's an amazing singer-songwriter, and he was Ed Sheeran's pal, and now Ed's, not his pal, his hero. Because I think I might be right in saying that Ed Sheeran's dad was a big fan of Foy Vance, and he took him to some of the gigs. But Foy's a brilliant singer-songwriter. I've been listening to him for ages. I think he's a really brilliant talent, been around for a while. I love the band. My favourite band for the last 8 or 9 years has been the band Eels. I just think he's a phenomenal songwriter. Another one that's tortured with his mental health. I don't know if you've ever read the book Things the Grandchildren Should Know. You should read it. I don't even read books, and I read it. I mean, when I say I don't read books, I mean I don't read books. And I read this book. I've read it like 3 times. I'll give it away with you today.
Aye, absolutely.
But he's an incredible talent. He was playing Glasgow not long ago, and sadly I wasn't here. But there's always great talent out there.
Yeah.
I think Scotland, actually, you wouldn't even marginalise that to Scotland. The world's always producing somebody brilliant. It's just,
and I think again that's in the perception of who's listening to it as well. I mean, there's local guys that play with you, and I think they're playing with you next year as well. King of Birds, Charlie and Stirling, and I can mind hearing them do their cover of Bruce Springsteen's The River. And I thought that's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Sterling's just got that gravelly voice that I thought this is absolutely phenomenal.
They supported us years ago with the Silencers.
Yeah.
That's how we knew them. But you're right. There's tons of fresh talent as well. I'm always looking out for the next young guy or the next. So it always seems to be a guy with me because I think about writing more for a young guy, you know. But or the young guy, young girl, it really doesn't matter. But there'll be somebody who'll pop their head up. There's another Ed Sheeran waiting.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's true or not. I was talking to someone today about Jerry Cinnamon.
Right.
And you mentioned about it might be easier for people now. He's a guy that apparently won't sign a record deal.
Yeah.
He's just published music on his own. So it might, I don't know, there might be some truth to that. Certainly with, the likes of YouTube. And
could be the fact that because of the way record deals are now, that they would be taking far too much away from him. He's already doing it himself in a kind of DIY effort that a lot of bands seem to be doing. That if it wouldn't be beneficial for him to do that.
Aye.
Be interesting to see how far Jerry Cinnamon could travel, because it's only really Scotland at the moment.
Aye. It's like
maybe a niche, maybe in it.
It's like Frankie Boyle, I think, from the comedy is like, I don't think he would translate well over in the US and things like that.
Aye.
It's too localised.
It is, and maybe Jerry Cinnamon. The thing is, you only really need one territory anyway. I mean, the Silencers' territory was France to a certain extent. We had a number 1 in Spain, and Switzerland and Germany came on board, and a bit of Belgium, the Benelux and stuff came on board, but it was really France that was the big market for us. And we were selling more in the city of Paris than we sold in the whole of the UK.
Really?
So we'd be going over there to play to 20,000 people and then coming back doing the Mean Fiddler in London to 200 if we were lucky.
Aye.
Coming up and playing the bar. Yes, we could play the Barlands and sell it out a couple of nights, but we'd be going to France to do 2 nights in the Olympia in Paris and then maybe a Zenith. That's like 15,000 people.
How's that feel? Is there a difference? There must be a difference in energy in the room, between 20,000 and going down to 200. Does that affect you as a performer?
Without a doubt, because you have to. Like, I think the master of it, when you talk about, they do refer to bands as stadium bands. Certain bands. Like Chris Martin he's a big boy and he throws himself about the stage brilliantly. So I think he's a bit awkward on stage actually, but he knows how to project. Robbie Williams was great at it. He could project himself to a place of 100,000 people. Bono's the master, in my opinion, at it. Mick Jagger's amazing at it. And there's lots of them out there. Pink Floyd did it in a much different way. They had that was all singing and dancing, big light shows and the aeroplanes flying down. There's no doubt about it when you stand in front of... I remember Miles Copeland saying to me one time, because Miles managed me for about 5 or 6 years, that when the Police were at that time the biggest band in the world, that he walked out to, I believe it was Yankee Stadium. He walked out. They asked him, I think his brother and Sting asked him to announce the band, ladies and gentlemen, the Police. So he said, all right, I'll go and do it. He'd never done it before. He was the manager. And he went, ladies and gentlemen, the Police. And this wall of noise, this hit him. You know, and it was that sound, the wall of noise hit him. And he went, is that what it feels like? And it does. When you walk on, we walked onto a stadium in France for Energy's birthday party. You can see it on YouTube. And there's 250,000 people in the audience. And the French guy introduces this Les Silencieux. And this roar came out and you went, oh man, that's wild.
Aye.
That's just, that is euphoric. It's just, it just sends you to another place. And so you can see why a lot of bands couldn't come down from those highs. Some of them couldn't. We had no option. It didn't last long enough. But it's amazing. And there is a massive difference between a big stadium who you're trying to... Isn't it that famous Glasgow story with Bono? Every time I clap my hands, you know, a child in Africa dies. And it apparently said that all over the world. And then he did it in Glasgow, and the wee guy down at the front of the stadium shouted, well, stop clapping then. You know, and Bono admits to that. He admits to projecting himself so far, you know. And, so there's no doubt about it. But when it's even more scary when you can see the whites of their eyes. When your job that's your job. It's like, I suppose it might be akin to like doing a presentation in front of the Dragons.
Aye.
Can you imagine your first night on stage or your first tour? There's a couple of young Scottish artists. I can't remember the wee guy's name. He was down and he brought out a single a couple of years ago. I thought, this wee guy could be really amazing. Why I forgot his name. But there's that other young guy, Capaldi.
Aye. Lewis Capaldi.
Lewis Capaldi. So you can imagine him standing out on that stage at Transmit. I mean, I think he'd done the Transmit. His wee bass player came to our show in Oranmore a few weeks ago. What must that have been like for that young guy? He's still in his teens, I think, that point.
Aye.
To stand on Transmit, or even Paolo Nutini to stand down and, you know, what's the big one they do down in England again? That my mind's gone. Glastonbury. Started walking out in the Glastonbury for his first time. I think, what must be going through his head, you know, and at what point of the month is he going to come down? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like you can hear his mammy shouting, you come down from there, Paolo, I'm warning you, you've been up there for months. You know, it's hard. And there is a difference between, you know, it's true, one's an audience, but there's no doubt about it that if your ego is getting exercised enough, then you start to think, wee ideas above your station.
I actually heard Paolo Nutini is quite a down-to-earth guy.
It's
like, you'll remember being a local function band, the Kicks, played a couple of their party nights and stuff like that, and they frequently, I think they had a residency in like Box in Sauchiehall Street,
right.
I think, and just Stokes Paolo Nutini on a random Wednesday night,
right.
Do you know what I mean, listening to some tunes and ended up jumping on stage and saying, do you know any of the tunes, guys? And they were like, aye, just jammed a couple of songs out. I'm sure the boys had mentioned that they went back to his Glasgow pad and just had a bit of a jam session with him. And then that was it. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, it's a decent story just for him to be stoned about the tin and not getting mobbed by screaming fans and all that kind of carry on. So fair play him if that was the case.
Funny thing, that recognition, because there's a bit of you want recognised. When you don't get recognised, you're disappointed. When you do get recognised, you're like, could you just give me a bit of space? You know, when probably everybody's going like that, oh, they've recognised me. I remember the worst my boss recognition ever was talking about the highs and the lows. Was I was doing a wee bar in Jersey one time. I was in the bones of my arse. I'd left the band. My marriage had split up. I was playing this pub, and this guy will never know that I heard him. But he was a Scottish guy, and he was in the bar. It was a Tuesday night. There wasn't a sinner in the bar, and he turned round and said to his mate, I remember going and seeing him when he was selling out Barrowlands and the Royal Concert Hall. Look at him now. It's a Tuesday night in Jersey. And he was talking under his breath, you know. But I heard him. And I tell you, that was like a dagger to your
Fuck,
heart.
I can imagine, right?
You know, you were like, and every word that he was saying was true. That made it even more difficult because it wasn't, he hadn't just made it up. It was true. So there's the reality bit in you that tells you, I don't want Adele to sing my song or but every bit there's the other part of you saying, going to hurry up, Adele, and sing my song.
Do you know what? I think that's just as important as ever, because, you know, people always harp on about this positive mental attitude. And I do believe that, like, if you're focused on something and you want something to happen, then eventually, if you're working hard enough, it's going to happen. So
that's a great outlook.
I mean,
as long as when it doesn't happen, that you don't
you're
fall
all
to
right.
bits.
And I think that's the good go between that people need to kind of try and.
Aye, and I think your mental health is a lot to do with that. I mean, I suffered from depression a big part of my life, you know, and it's never.
I was going to ask you, because we've touched on the mental health aspect, and I mean, did you suffer with depression? Was there a turning point in your life where it kind of spiraled, or was it all even before you joined the band, or was it?
Oh, it was way before I joined the band.
When you were even in school and stuff?
Not necessarily in school, because I think I managed to suppress it. I think it was there, but I think I managed to suppress it when I was in school.
So was there a point in you that you knew this isn't how I'm meant to be feeling?
There was definitely parts in my life where I thought, you know, I could, by thinking differently or doing something differently, I could not feel like this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you tried it, it wasn't the case, because that's just sadly how you were feeling. So I think it started probably when I was about 18, maybe a wee bit older than that. I think when I first went to Canada, I started suffering a wee bit, you know. I don't know whether that was brought on by smoking dope, or I tried to smoke grass when I was never really get into drugs anyway. It never really influenced me in any manner. But you try them, or well, hopefully you don't try them, as you know, would be my thing. But I tried them, and I don't know whether that brought it on, or did it bring something to the surface that was already lying there, and it just needed that kind of out of yourself moment to make you. I always found drugs, kind of smoking pot and stuff, scared me.
Mm-hmm.
It took me to a place that I didn't like. So I don't know whether that was unearthing the wee bit in me.
It could have been.
It could have been that. I've never really thought about it until I just mentioned it there, but that could have been the start of it. It could have been maybe that just unearthed that wee bit in me that I was always suffering from anyway, and weak from, that I'd managed to suppress that whole time when I tried a bit of pot.
How did it manifest itself in you? I mean, was it a feeling? Was it just?
As it always is for me, it's a sense of complete desperation, and a lack of. It never ever really seems to zap my energy for some reason.
I can relate to that. I mean, I think it's fair to say that we've all been, you know, had our battles with depression.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that. I can get out of my bed no problem in the morning. It doesn't take that energy away, so I'm with you.
I mean, I struggled to get out of bed in the morning, but that was just because I was depressed. It wasn't because I had no energy. Mm-hmm. It was just because I was depressed and I didn't want to see the day. Mm-hmm. But it's always been like that for me, you know. And I probably had about 8 or 9 big episodes in my life, and it's always been to the point of, it's always, every single time it's driven me to the point of, this is probably going to be my last day. At some point, this is going to be my last day. Mm-hmm. And I think you to analyse it later on in your life, or as you not even, because you never get used to it. You never get used to that dark hole. You can't get used to that. But to the point of, I used to say, if I had a wee bit more balls, I would have killed myself. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that anymore. I think it's just that there was a programme on last night about depression. I don't know if you saw it. It was really interesting.
Last night,
BBC. It was amazing. There was a young American guy on it who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Aye, I saw that.
And survived. And he said that the minute he let go of the bridge,
it all changed.
It was just complete regret.
he total regret. He said, the minute my body left it, he says, I could feel my hand leaving the bridge. Words to that effect. And he was on his way down. Well, not many people would survive that jump for a start.
I know.
And he just said, the minute he hit he knew the disengagement of him leaving the bridge. It was wrong. And then the minute he said he hit the water, he said he went down about 70 foot, but he'd established it was something like 70 foot. And his only thought then was survival, to get up to the surface and survive. He said he had regretted it. He's now been diagnosed bipolar. So, yeah, maybe that was... Those are the kind of things you need to hear, isn't it? You need to hear that. There
certainly is not as taboo now, and there's more out there about it, thankfully.
Thankfully indeed, yeah.
What get you through?
It was like, it's almost this total weakness.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And
totally.
And now, as you say, everyone's more aware of it, and whether that's social media, whether it's... Part of me seems it's almost like an epidemic, because it's like everyone's got some form of it.
Yeah. When
it happened to me, I was really young, and probably still this day, I don't know why. Like we were speaking before this, I hadn't really told many people, if anybody. And I was 14 when I was like my lowest, probably really naive about it as well.
Wow.
But to the point where there wasn't a factor. You know, I was good at school. I had a great bunch of friends. Really, you know, was a bit bullied at school, but I don't see that as a factor, because my circle of friends was really close with them, really good guys. I had a good upbringing. Do you know what I mean? But I just didn't want to be me. I didn't want to be part of the world, to the point that I ended up myself in hospital. Do you know what I mean? Because that was it. It was 26, however many pills, and I just wanted to kind of that, you know, nobody did the next day.
Yeah.
And I think the turning point for me was just seeing how it affected everyone else.
Your family.
So it didn't spur me to come out of anything like that, but it was to see everyone else kind of thinking, that's not right. You know, something needs to change. And it's still an ongoing thing, because I think I've not wasted a lot of my years, but I've not fulfilled them. A lot of my 20s was kind of, you know, I've not used them how I look back and think I could have done a lot more and been a lot happier throughout those years and stuff like that. And I think it's probably taken the birth of my wee boy a few years back to really kind of think there's more important things in life, and let's try and focus on making the best of everything, and in turn helping people that might be in a similar position. Or
the thing is, there isn't any more important things in life than yourself. You know, you're the most important thing in life. Because if you're no good, then you're no good to anybody else.
Absolutely.
You know? And so you're the most important thing in your life, you know, and for you to take care of yourself, then you can be of use to your wee boy and to Lil and to whoever the grandparents are, if they're still alive, and, you know, and all that. Then you become part of it. You know, the world will still go on without you, but it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it... That shouldn't be your excuse. You know, well, I hope it isn't your excuse, you know, because the world will still turn, but...
It's a big part of why I think we're doing these podcasts and talking to people like yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's sparking conversations that we maybe wouldn't have had before. Do you know what I mean? Because people are more inclined to text or email or Facebook or stuff like that these days. And this is a good thing about this. You can sit down and you can open up these conversations, and you can talk about something as serious as mental health and depression, or you can, do you know what I mean, shoot the breeze and just talk shit and whatever. And
well, we've went from Kylie being a shite singer to Craig nearly killing himself. But
So,
to me, that's what chat's about, and that's how real chat is. You go off on all different tangents.
You do, and I think this... I mean, the mental health thing is... The older I get, the less... the less taboo it becomes for me. Because to me, it doesn't really matter the fact that in... Well, quite a few times in my life, I've thought about killing myself and planned it out, and you know, one in particular, you know, where I had it all sussed and what I was going to do and when I was going to do it, and I had it right down to the time I was going to do it at, and managed to get through that night. I think a lot of that was sleep deprivation, because I couldn't sleep at the time, which seemed like a week, which is impossible. Probably more like a couple of nights or 2 or 3 nights or something. You just didn't get a sleep at all.
Yeah,
you start, you know, and the mind starts to wander. And it's not easy admitting those things, because you do seem weak, but there's no weakness to it at all. There's nothing weak about it. And you go through it, you hear all those, if you'd have, you know, it's analysed through, if you'd have broke the arm, you would have a cast on, or a stookie, as we called it when we were kids. But that is the truth. It's another part of, you know, that whole nervous system, the whole central nervous system. I mean, when you're at your depths of despair, I don't think there's a pill in the world could bring you up.
No, I know. I used to be embarrassed about it. Do you know what I mean? That's probably one of the reasons why when they talk, or like if you did feel compelled to speak to somebody about it, even if it was like a close friend, even as young as I was, you would rein it back in, because you thought, if I say this to somebody, they're just going to think I'm vying for attention. You know what I mean? Attention seeking and that kind of thing, and it's not that at all.
There's a Scottish thing as well where you'll make light of it.
Aye.
You'll make a joke out of it. It's just a Scottish
Some people
thing,
aren't looking for an answer, they're just looking for somebody to sit and listen.
No.
So you can get it off your chest and out into the world, you know, and that's what it is. And like, you know, like we were chatting about before we started, probably one of the big ones, especially in the music industry, Scott Hutchinson, so Frightened Rabbit. And I can remember seeing the Twitter feeds before or during the search.
Yeah.
And I can mind reading one, you know, people were saying, I hope he's found safe and sound, hope this, and one guy I think had tweeted, said, he's probably just went out for a loaf of bread or something like that, or he's probably just been he's probably hungover for the night before, you know, and then obviously the worst case scenario happened. And I mean, I don't really know anything about the guy. I know the band, but you know, it must have been such a dark place to be in, not to get back out of.
Aye,
you know.
I mean, and that's the thing. You wouldn't profess to be in that place, but whatever that was, I've been pretty close to that.
Aye.
You know, whatever that situation is, where he is, or where that poor boy was, I was very close to that. You know, on more than one occasion, where I just thought that was the absolute and utter only answer. You know, fortunately for me and my family and for friends and for us three sitting here, we're still here talking about it, and because you want to, you know, I don't want to go out with you know, fireworks and, you know, but I also don't want to go out as not even an embarrassment to my family, because there's nothing embarrassing about suicide. It's a state of mind, and there should be nothing embarrassing about family members of people that have taken their own life. There should be nothing. There shouldn't be any taboo about it. There shouldn't be. If you decide that that's what you want to do, then that's your decision.
I agree, absolutely.
You know, it shouldn't be frowned upon, or
no, absolutely not.
You know, as if you're some sort of freak because you've killed yourself. Bullshit. If that's your destiny, that's your destiny.
It's where you are in that point in life. I mean, that must just be the only choice available to them at that point. In their mind. Yeah. I've been there as well. For me, it was last year.
Yeah.
I was there. Last year was pretty shit. It was a really bad year. But again, try to use things positively now, and which again, why Craig and I have kind of started this. And we got together.
Had you gone through the process in your mind? And
I tried to do it, but I failed last year. Big turning point for me was that, you know, kind of failing and the immediate regret of the failure, and then the realisation of the impact I would have on other people. But at that point in time, when you're trying something like that, you're at that point of despair where you don't think of those things. Your mind's not working that way.
Yeah.
It's fine and well to say, a lot of people say it's selfish.
It's
but
not selfish.
you're not thinking that way at that point in time.
You just need rid of the pain.
Exactly, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
The pain has got to go away. That's what you want, and that's what I mean by that. There's not a pill in the world.
Aye.
It's not a headache.
Aye.
It's the darkest place you've ever been in. It's the pain you need relieved from. That's what you need. You need that pain to be lifted, and I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad that pain's lifted.
As am I, and it's a completely different place now. You probably be yourself when you come through it, and you can reflect on it now, and you're in a completely different place in your life.
Well, the thing is, it's like I never ever dispute the medical science that people have studied for depression and all these other things, but there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that unless you've encountered that feeling, there's no way you can understand it.
Aye.
There's no way. I don't care how much you've studied it.
Aye.
Unless you've encountered that sensation, there's no way that you'll fully understand it. You can completely and utterly work on tablets for serotonin levels and for whatever makes you better chemically. As my wee doctor in Belfast said to me the last time I had, dark depression, was just a few years ago, and I've had another run-in with it this year again. Said to me, I'm not a big ambassador for pills and these things, but I'd like you to take this. It's just it's an antidepressant. It's got your serotonin levels are down. It's just you're on a chemical imbalance. There's just something not working, and I'm trying to get you and help you to fix it. And I'm glad for that. I've made music. We're sitting here talking. I hope it never ever gets to the point again ever that I'm like that. I had a terrible time this year with it again.
Was there a trigger point for that? Do you know what I mean? Was there anything that happened?
That's what Steve was saying, but I don't know if there is anything in my life that would say I should be depressed or could you point anything?
There was last year. My dad passed away last year,
right.
But even before that, there was a whole host of things going around that. But before that, my depression, there wasn't necessarily trigger points. That was one of the most frustrating things about my mental health. Even now, I'll fluctuate. There's ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the frustrating thing is, I don't know why I feel like this, but I think the more you experience it, and I don't know if you're the same, Jinky, the more you experience it, you probably deal with it slightly differently.
Yeah.
And you almost, there's an acceptance, you acknowledge it and say, right, okay, I'm just going to get my head down just now and I'll get through this.
Yep.
Because I know I'm coming through the other end of this.
Aye.
That kind of thing.
Well, that's what my wee doctor, and for my more recent event with it, and had said to me, you've been through it before, that should be an indication for you that you can get through this. And it's true, but it is. You're walking in glue.
Aye. Do you deal with it differently now?
I don't know if I do. When I'm at the depths of despair, I don't.
Aye.
Because that's when there's no doubt that the suicidal thoughts are most prevalent, and that it's that thing again. There's the bit. And I don't, like you, I didn't even know that guy, Scott Hutchison. I had no idea who that boy was. But that had a toxic effect on me. That sent shivers up me to know that I don't know what that boy's feelings were, but that the best description is maybe that I had similarities to what.
Aye, absolutely.
That's all you can say.
Yep.
That's all you can say. And that was... and that sent shivers up me. And it was noticed as well. My friends noticed it. My friend said, couldn't stop talking about it.
Aye.
I didn't know that. I didn't know I was talking about it.
I think there's this kind of the Scottish kind of patriotism where you were talking about Paolo Nutini and people like that. You're proud of your own doing well.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same, probably more so for you because you're in the industry.
Yeah.
And you can see those similarities. So you can feel the elations when somebody that you perhaps know or can relate to make it.
Aye.
And similarly when they're in that place and they're gone now.
Aye. It's a hard.
Interestingly so as well. I think we spoke about this before, just in a random conversation, like especially with the global superstars like Chris Cornell and Soundgarden and Chester Bennington and Linkin Park, who are sold millions of albums, probably at the height of their success, more money to know what to do with, family, kids, touring, playing massive stadiums, but all that doesn't matter because there's something that's still just eating away at them so much that they've found that that's the only way out.
Well, Chris Cornell had just come off stage. Soundgarden had played that night and he came off stage. So even with all that adulation and the fame, the fortune, as you say,
it just shows you, it opens your eyes a lot.
Robin Williams as well, battled with it his whole life. And the thing is, for two younger men and a getting slightly older man, I think that I definitely couldn't lay my hand on anything to say I should be depressed. There's nothing in my life that I've either done or haven't done that should make me want to kill myself.
Aye.
I mean, I do have regrets and I do have things in my life that I'd maybe like to be more honest and share about. But you keep not your skeletons in you, but you have one or two wee things you think, well, they're just mine.
Yeah. Things
that you can maybe talk to your mammy about, but we should also be able to talk to anybody about those things. I think that there's nothing. I mean, if serial killers can sit in a prison cell and talk to psychiatrists about why they killed all those people, that's the gate. The gate's open.
Aye.
We should be able to talk about anything, and I'm glad that mental health is not taboo anymore. I mean, I was talking to a friend, a fellow writer recently about it, and I'd taken a wee step back, over the last few months just to have a better look at what I wanted to do. And I was just saying to him, look, blah, 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 this is where I am. I'm not quite myself at the moment and stuff. I get this incredible email back from him. He lives in a whole other country, and we write. We meet. We certainly had met up in France and co-wrote together, and all of a sudden he hears this guy telling me about his life and the hardships that he has through life and how difficult a time he was having, and he was glad that I had mentioned it to him, and then ironed out all his problems, all his ADHDs and all these things. He just thought, I may have had an incline that there may have been some trouble in that boy, just by his mannerisms and how he was and stuff, but never to the point that he was, knocking on heaven's door.
You probably helped him just by mentioning it.
Yeah.
And he felt, here's another soul, probably on a similar path to mine, and he's opened up. It's probably helped him.
I think I sent him a song called Breathe, a song that I'd wrote, which is a brand new song, 6 months old or something, and I said this is where I was during this process, and somebody had said to me, one of our kids, when they're troubled, we like to bring them back home and give them a safe place to fall.
Aye.
And I thought, that's a brilliant terminology. So straight away as a lyricist, I thought, so I wrote this, and we just breathe. If you take my hand and hold it, and we'll just breathe, because you're in a safe place and you're in a soft place to fall. So fall.
That's beautiful.
And it was all about that. And I told him, and I rang him up and I said, remember I said to you I'd write a song about that. I've written it. And I sent it to the Scandinavian, and he said, that's really cool. That's a really cool tune. And it was all, and it's just what we were talking about. There's a verse in it. The lyrics are there somewhere. There's a verse in it that talks about days you just want to lie in bed, but there's other days that all you want to do is sing, and there's all these things. But you're in a, it was basically you're in a soft place. You're in a safe place to fall. So fall, and there's magic about that. Then, and that's that brings us back to how you introduce where you were. That's probably the first bunch of lyrics that I'd written whilst I was in it, whilst I was actually in it.
I said away at the start that you can tell that your music comes from a deeper place.
Yeah.
And and it's probably been inspired a lot. I don't know if inspired, but it's came from that place.
Maybe the positivity out of the darkness, so to speak.
Has there ever been a point where you were in a place where it just, you couldn't go over that, and it totally stunted your creativity?
I think that because there's a bit to, and I don't know if either of you have experienced this, but there's a bit in mental health where there's a massive bit of anger involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
I still have that, I think.
Yeah, where you're furious that this is bothering you,
mm-hmm.
to the point that you might self-harm, not even go to the point of attempting suicide. You might actually physically hurt yourself just because you're so angry, for fear that you might take it out on someone else, you know, and that you're leading into, you know, where you're getting sectioned in those scenarios in your mind. You see yourself getting sectioned, you see yourself getting into hospital because you're a threat not only to yourself but maybe to someone else. And I think those were the moments, and always are the moments during my bouts of depression where you think, I'm really so angry at the moment that I could jump through a plate glass window and don't really care what happens to me at the other side of it. You know what I mean? Whether if every bit of the glass is, you know, embedded in my body, it would, just to get rid of that anger and that. But do you ever notice? I've noticed as I deal with it, and so there's no place probably in the planet that I know of personally where you could go away and scream as loud as you could possibly scream without some bastard hearing you.
Well, that's a Dragon's Den idea. Back to Dragon's Den, going with that. A quiet room.
The shout box.
You know, where you can just go in and scream till you can scream no more. And I remember when a good friend of mine sadly took his own life, and I remember going up to a tree in Belfast. It was a bit like the Joshua tree, this thing. And I just kept walking and walking and walking and walking. I was trying to rationalise how it could have came to that for this guy and what had happened and stuff. And I sat down in this tree, and you just never know when the emotion's going to get just so much for you that you just screamed, and I just started screaming and crying, just relentless crying, and it started pouring down. And at that moment I thought it's probably more difficult to tell whether it was raindrops or tears. I was crying that much.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think I suppose, you know, I've only ever really been I was in a psychiatric hospital once. I spent an overnight in there. I don't know if that's where you could scream, because even then there's nothing there private enough for you to. You want to run out in the middle of the ocean on a boat, but you know, fine, there'll be somebody 200 miles away that'll hear you. You know,
shut it,
and they'll come and get you. You know?
Pipe down, we're on the night shift.
Were you screaming there? I heard it. And this guy can tell noise from any wind direction in the world, and he heard you, so came to your rescue. You're like, no, I don't want to be rescued. I just want to scream.
Aye, no, absolutely.
I think I always had that wee bit of, not to that extent. I mean, I think afterwards I always coped pretty well, but I always had that kind of pent up frustration and stuff like that. And I could finally see how that was reciprocating out towards other people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? My temper, I had a short fuse, my temper was flaring up, or I'd be snapping with people or sarcastic and stuff. And to a point when I was like that, I was looking back at my experiences throughout certain days and going, do you know what, that's not me, or it's certainly not who I want to be.
Yeah.
And it's because I was so focused on what I was feeling and why I was feeling like that. And it got to a point where the only person that can make this better, get rid of it, is me. Let's take steps to make it better. You know, and it's a long, long road, but do you know what I mean?
It's an enormous road. The yellow brick road doesn't even come into it.
Whether anybody gets to the end of it, there probably isn't an end to it, but it's probably how you learn how to deal with it and how you go forward with it. And I
mean, the biggest search is just for peace, isn't it? A bit of peace, you know, to lay your head down in the pillow at night and go, I hope I wake up tomorrow morning and most of this is gone. Because you can deal with some of it, but you can't deal with all of it, and you definitely can't deal with all of it all of the time. It's impossible.
That resonates with me so deeply, that, you know, finding peace.
Yeah.
That's the first year of my adult life anyway, where I'm truly at peace, and comfortable in my own skin.
Good.
Do you know, and you're right, I think that's what you're truly in search of, is that peace and calm within.
Yeah. I mean, I've battled my whole life, you know, but I've also had a lot of joy in my life. You know, so, but I've definitely, it's, you know, my adult life I've battled, and even in the joyous moments, and when you think the Soundgarden moments where you've just come off stage, you just want to go straight onto the bus and go straight to your bunk and just take, you know, draw the curtain in your wee bunk and just go, this is me, and I don't want anybody to say you're a good singer. I don't want anybody to say anything. I just want to get through this day and survive.
There's a good sentiment actually that's probably simplifies this all a little bit, and it's your songs, and it's that song that you had, I Might Give In.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And that obviously eventually changed to I Won't Give In.
Yeah, and that was only through Médecins Sans Frontières, which we still haven't got around to using that song. MSF are going to be using, or want to use one of my songs. But yeah, I Might Give In. I mean, I joke about that all the time, you know, but that's how it felt.
Aye.
You know, a wish from up above, because we look to the stars, and I'm not sure I even believe in God. I was brought up a Catholic, you know, and I was an altar boy and all the usual rubbish, but I don't know if I even believe. In fact, I don't think I do believe in it. That doesn't make any difference. Mm-hmm. I think is there a higher power there? I don't really care. I just want to be happy. I don't care if there's a God.
Absolutely. I think I'm the same, to be quite honest.
I don't honestly care. If there is a God, he or she can do whatever they want with me when my days are done. But at this point, I don't really care. I'm not going to live my life as a lie as a Christian when I don't believe in any of the Christian ways. So you'd only be doing the church a disservice by going. I would certainly get into the Catholic Church and just do it a disservice by showing up, because I don't believe any of it. You know, now that doesn't make that again a bad thing. You know, I mean, I speak to Graham Duffin. I mean, Graham's a devout Christian. Right. Totally believes in God. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. In fact, I know he won't. And I admire that. My mother was a devout Christian. Mm-hmm. Died knowing that she was going to see God. I mean, how can you fault that?
It must bring an incredible amount of comfort. You know, you know that within your mind. Aye.
I mean, I'm looking for some big Buddhist monk to come up to me one day and go, I've got the answer for you.
There was one come up to me in Buchanan Street. He took a tenner out of my pocket. That's all he done.
Aye.
And gave me a wee card.
Is that what it costs for enlightenment tenner?
I got some beads out it, so...
Because there's that old joke about Ian Paisley dying and going to heaven, isn't it? And he goes to the gates, and St. Peter asks him, it's just a daft joke. And he says, you're genuinely not hoping to get in here, are you? And he said, yeah, I am. And so he gave him, he says, what makes you think you can get in here? St. Peter said to him, and Paisley gives him 3 examples of charities that were predominantly Catholic charities that he'd given £5 to each charity. And St. Peter says, well, that might change things. I'll go and have a chat with God and see what he says. And as he comes back, walking down, Paisley's there in anticipation. And he says, what did God say? And he said, there's your 15 quid back. Just daft, you know. But that, so, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, it's good that we can sit down here and know that we can have good lives with nice kids. And you know, you're very lucky to have children. If I was going to be envious, I think envy's the wrong word, but I would have loved that to have happened in my life. You know, I've got a niece and nephews, so, you know, they make up for all of that. But yeah, it's, you know, a life without their dad wouldn't have been right.
Aye, absolutely. And that's the overwhelming thought. And it's probably led to that peace and calm within, is that thought.
Yeah.
And seeing their wee faces and the gratitude, their wee faces every single time I see them. Because it's said to you before we started filming, I do see it's an even split. I see them between my ex-wife and I. And I'm so grateful for that. Obviously, you'd still like to see them every single day as you did before, but you're even more grateful now every day you do see them. Because
you get that unconditional love from a kid, you know what I mean? And that beautiful dependency.
Aye.
that they depend on you.
I've always said, I think I learn so much from my kids. I just sit and watch them. I don't know if you're the same, Craig.
Aye, absolutely.
It's just the way that kids see the world is amazing. It's just such innocence, and they're just so inquisitive about everything. I just love the way they approach life. My two kids, so I try and be like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. I remember talking to my wee brother about something about life, and he was desiring something else, a fancy new car. Of course, as an uncle, just looking to him being lucky, 4 children in his life. He's my wee brother.
Aye.
You're trying to maybe do a wee bit of the big brother thing.
Mm.
And I said to him, see, if I was you, I wouldn't be looking for anything else in my life when you've got that.
Aye.
You know, that is just a thing of beauty, absolutely. And I'm from a big family. My mum was one of 15, you know, and so we're well, you know, akin to knowing what kids do and, you know, how much they poo their nappies and all that sort of stuff. But even my wee niece, I mean, I was over at my wee niece's a wee while back, and she just completely changed my day.
Aye.
Totally. And she'll never know that she done that, but she did. She completely changed my day.
What age is she?
She's 7.
I think I remember, because your family was down at Port Patrick for Fortfest, and I think I can mind it was really endearing to see, because I think it was like one of the mornings after, and I seen you briefly in the foyer, but you were running a bit daft because she was, so I need to get back up, do you know what I mean? And I'm get sent in here for a juice or something. Do you know what I mean? And that was it. That was the focus, and it was great to see. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. They're amazing. And I mean, and I say that, as I say, not with envy, but with just joy. It's a great thing to have your kids, and company's a great thing as well. When you're not great and you're not on your own, I always think that, you know, I'm a social junkie. I love people. I mean, I live on my own, but I mean, as much as I can, I love human interaction. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I just love hearing what people have got to say. Even although I talk a bit too much, I'm not a bad listener as well. And I love that. I love somebody tells you something, you think, oh, that's really interesting. It just, that's the joy of life, isn't it?
Aye, absolutely.
And kids have just, you know, there's nothing more fun than a child asking you to explain something. And you explain it to them and they get it. They go, all right. You know, like we boarded up a wall in my niece's room because she's moving from one room to the other day. And I said to her, do you know the really weird thing is, when you were at school today, we were boarding up the wall, and we boarded up a wee rabbit. It ran in from the garden. We didn't realise it got in behind the gyprock, and we boarded it in. And she went, really? And I said, yeah. And she went behind the wall, and I started scratching on it. She went, I can hear it scratching, you know. And that went on all day. All day. And the joy of that, to the point as she came to me and she says, I've spoken to my mum, and that isn't true. There isn't a rabbit behind it.
You can always count the mum to ruin it.
You know, I was like, that's brilliant. Spent the whole day, and each time she ran towards it, done a wee scratch again. You know, and I said, can you hear it? Don't know what we were thinking about, because rabbits don't make noise, obviously.
Aye.
You know, and I said to her, don't know what we're going to have to. She said, how will we get it out? And I said, it'll be fine for a couple of days. When you open the other side. But yeah, I mean, she changed my day completely. I was just so wondering how am I going to get through the day.
Aye.
Kids don't give a shit.
Brilliant.
They don't give a shit. They just want their Capri Sun or their Curly Wurly or whatever, and they've got that, and they want to play Tig or whatever it is, and it's like, I don't give a shit how you feel. We're doing this. Yeah. And it snaps you out of it.
It does. I mean, I remember when she was really young, I was going around, I was having a really bad episode, and I remember, I think my brother gave me a wee warning. Just said, don't you let that affect your time with a child, you know, because she'll notice that.
Mm-hmm.
She'll notice, you know, you need to warm to this wee girl. She needs you.
Aye.
I was like, oh, wow.
Aye, good message.
I can remember when Lil was pregnant. It was my first insight to young kids, and we were in Florida at the time. I think, I can't mind however many months Lil was pregnant, and we were sitting in the car park at Disneyland, and there's the wee train that takes you to the entrance of Disneyland, like the wee tram thing. And we got onto that. We're travelling to the entrance of Disneyland, but you get your tickets before you're even in. And across from us was sitting her mum and her 2 young kids. He must have been like 3 or 4 or something like that. And the elation on this wee kid's face, saying to his mum, "This is the greatest thing ever." You know what I mean? He's not even in the park yet. He's just in the wee tram. It's the simplest things in the world that make him happy. And Riley's like that all the time.
Brilliant. Nice name, Riley.
He'll just make me like. I was in the toilet of all embarrassing things to say. I was in the toilet and I heard Lil say, "Oh, your dad's up the stairs." So next thing's coming up the stairs. Do you know what I mean? "Dad." I'm like, "Yeah, Riley, I'm in the toilet, pal." It's like, "You wiping your bum? Are you wiping your big fat bum?" Shouting at the top of his lungs, and I'm just sitting in stitches. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
Just absolutely embarrassed as hell. But I couldn't stop laughing because there's no care in the world, and that's exactly how I want to be. I want to be carefree, and the wee guy makes me be carefree.
Well, that's good.
And
if he can show you,
exactly.
I mean, what a role reversal that is.
That's exactly. I think I've learned more about myself because of him.
It's really weird that without sitting here name dropping and being back to the music, one of the guys played guitar on my first solo album and also on one other album. It's turned out to be a great friend, a guy called Jack Petrozelli. He rang me one time and he just said, "Jinx, how far is Jersey?" I was living in Jersey at the time. "How far is Jersey from Rennes in France?" I said, "Not far at all, Jack. You just take the ferry across." "Oh, I've got a gig in Rennes tomorrow night." And I said, "Oh, it's a bit short notice." And he's an American guy, New Yorker. Anyway, I went across. "Where are you playing?" I said, "Oh, I know that venue. I've played that venue with the Silencers back in the day." So anyway, we go across to the venue, me and a pal of mine. And turns out it's Vanessa Paradis he's playing guitar with. And so he comes out, "Hey, Jinx, man, how's it going?" Really cool guy, Jack, and really, really nice guy. Had his own life encounters. And I was like, "Oh, cool, Jack." And that's who you playing, Vanessa Paradis and stuff. Never thinking any more about it. We go back to the venue and they're sound checking and stuff, And so Jack's, "Come around, Jinx, come on around here." And he's trying to get his guitars ready. And I looked around and Johnny Depp was standing. I thought, of course, he's married to her.
Aye.
So we get chatting and I'm chatting to him and just quite blather and stuff. And then he was saying, "Really like your music, man." I said, "Oh, wow, thank you." And it's Jack's letting us hear the album and the tour bus and stuff. And I mean, genuinely, conversation sparked up and chatting about different things. "Do you ever play in the States?" And I said, no, not much. "No, if you ever play in America, this is my club, the Viper Rooms in LA.
Mm-hmm.
This is the number. Here's my number." Johnny Depp's now giving me his telephone number. Blah, blah, blah. We're chatting away and stuff. And they've got a wee baby. And I was chatting to him just about his films and stuff and what was it like. It must have been amazing. We were chatting. I think we were talking about like Edward Scissorhands, Who's Eating Gilbert Grape, the G.M. Barry, Finding Neverland, where he played the guy who obviously wrote Peter Pan, talking about his Scottish accent and all that sort of stuff. And I said to him, "Some achievements in life. What, just superstar, And I said, "Some incredible achievements in life." And he pointed down to his wee girl and he said, "That's my achievement in life."
It just shows you.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
And I thought, wow, man, that's just in that. And I've told that story probably never on radio because you never have the time. You're doing a quick 10-minute interview. Mm-hmm. I've told that story to tons of people, And I remember phoning my pal who was with me, phoning his daughter, and we get Johnny to speak to her down the phone. And she's come back, "Oh, that's not Johnny Depp." And I said, "It is Johnny Depp. That's who else would pretend?" She said, "Oh, because we're always, the boy who cried wolf."
Yeah.
She says, "No, you're always making fun of stuff, and that's not Johnny Depp." Even still to this day, I don't think she believed us that it was Johnny Depp. It was amazing, but the importance in life and the importance of things that matter. Here was this guy, him and Vanessa Paradis are obviously no longer together, and he's not exactly getting the best press in the world at the moment. But here was this guy giving you a bit of him in a very short meeting and spending spent the afternoon with him. And then later on that night, him and I stood at the side of the stage and watched the gig. While he was kind of getting his daughter ready, she'd been back on the tour bus at some point to go to her bed or the hotel, wherever they were staying. But incredible.
It's amazing that's what you took away, because you probably spoke about a lot more than that.
Aye.
Probably about his fame and fortune and everything else, and that's your takeaway. That's the story you tell countless times.
You know, that's it. It's all about the wee girl and how important she was in his life, and forget about who's eating Gilbert grape and then Scissorhands. That's the real deal, just standing right there beside him, clutching his hand, thinking, I'm really dependent on you, Johnny. I don't know for what at the moment, but
exactly.
You're the guy showing me the
She won't be
ropes.
giving a fuck about his films, you know what I mean?
No.
That's exactly why, and that's probably refreshing for him.
Yeah,
You know,
probably
that's
did.
it.
At that age, that child wouldn't even known he was an actor.
Aye, true.
You know, so it meant that he was just her dad.
Aye.
You know, that brilliant. I mean, absolutely brilliant. You know, and but that's the life's joyous moments. You know, and most important moments.
Aye, absolutely.
You know, and that's what you should keep this about.
Aye.
Just all the good things, and you know, there'll be plenty of people I'm sure that you can talk to that will tell you.
Well, hopefully that's the plan, isn't it? It's just to get it's real life, real stories, and if a message, hopefully your story and the messages you're giving, if it can reach one person, then amazing, because it's one person that wouldn't have reached before if we'd sat in our arses and done nothing.
Well, that's the thing. Nothing happens, you know, without creating activity, doing something.
Aye.
You know, what is it? The Glasgow coat of arms is nil sine labor, the old Latin, which means nothing without effort. And you know, and that's what it is. It comes down to the fact that you two have decided to do it. Come out of wherever you were in your busy lives, your wee boy, your wee girls. You could have been sitting in the house with them tonight, having a brilliant night, but you've chosen to do this. And that's a completely unselfish act. And that's why, you know, things like podcasts and what you guys are trying to achieve, it'll work, I'm telling you. The good guys always win.
It's
I hope so.
I think it's just getting I think we're doing it for the right reasons.
So do I. I think
Is that the good guys always win there?
It is.
It is, yeah.
oh, hey, that was planned. That was planted, especially.
It's again to take it away back around to you and the writing your music, and it's still going out there and doing it and having that passion. Hopefully we're doing it for the right reasons and for the right place. It's not because we want to be rich and famous, because we wouldn't be doing this if we want to be rich and famous.
It's boring anyway.
Aye.
I would spend money on shite. Let's face it.
Well, the thing is, I've met many rich and famous people.
Aye.
Their life isn't any more enhanced by having 2 daughters or 1 son.
Aye.
I can tell you, I've met tons and tons of immensely successful people, and honestly, hand on heart, don't think they're any happier than the wee man that's walking down the street that's went and got his pension. He's nipped into the wee pub for a wee half and a half because he likes the wee woman that serves behind the bar, and then he goes home and he sticks on Coronation Street because he fancies the wee lassie in it, and his granddaughter's coming round on Saturday for a wee cone, and he's going to take her round to some park, and she makes him smile more than any other woman. It's made him smile, and they're all the life's treasures, absolute treasures. And I tell you, for a man that's so mixed up, and I've been mixed up a lot in my life, and I genuinely think I know what life's values are. I'm just trying to gather them all and use them and try and utilise them and stop worrying about things that I can't change. You know, that's, you know, stop worrying about things that haven't happened yet, as I always say.
That's the most important thing, isn't it? And it's strange that you need to tell yourself that, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I think you should definitely do an evening with, but you've got an amazing story to tell, and you've got some amazing messages to get out there.
Oh no, I mean,
I think
well,
you
maybe
should
we should do that as part of this.
Aye.
You know, part of, maybe we should make that our goal. You know, as part of this being the start of your journey, and you being a sound man, and you being an enthusiastic man and a creative man. You know, then maybe we should take that and use that as our gig.
Aye.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Idea. Absolutely. Let's do it.
I'd be absolutely humbled to do that.
We should do it. We should do it. And I'm genuinely serious about it, because it becomes a different thing then. I mean, I'm going to do something later with Craig, but this is a different thing. This is a and get the right audience and approach it in a mental health way.
Mm-hmm.
Sell it in that manner, and because it would amaze you. It would amaze you. And I don't use the word high profile, but it would amaze you the people that flock to you when they know that you're sending out a message of. You ever see that people are never affected with cancer until they're affected by it?
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
When you affect and you move somebody and genuinely do something, then people, and the best way, the art of entertainment's incredible. You can sit and talk about stuff like this and sing songs and tell stories. People will get as much out of that as they would out of, an hour and a half of music.
Mm-hmm. Who was he talked about earlier on about Geldof talking? To me, I enjoy that. I enjoy like artists talking, and not necessarily Geldof, but just artists talking, because it's different from listening to the record.
Yeah,
because you've got that human interaction then, and hopefully it's spontaneous communication rather than they say the same shit, gig in, gig out, the exact same script. I love that kind of thing.
What do you call that Scouse comedian, that John guy?
John Bishop.
He did that show where he brought people just into a room and had an audience and just
that's right.
Let's just talk about your life.
I think that was it, in conversation with.
Yeah.
That was it, wasn't it?
But this is a different thing that you're trying to achieve. Forgive me for trying to guess what yous are doing, but that stream that yous have got, and when I initially spoke to you, Craig, about saying that you wanted to speak to people in different aspects of life, where mental health issues, didn't stop them from being who they were. It might have tried to, but it didn't stop them from being who they were. Then you could almost. I think you'll have people nominating themselves to speak to you.
And that's the hope, isn't it? I mean, from such different walks of life, and we've already spoke to a guy that's quite very close to Stephen, Chris Ferry, and he's a PT and he's built up his business. But he came from a place where he was really, really unhappy.
Yeah.
So it's not just that he's doing this as a job to make people more comfortable within their own skin. It's almost like to make them happier within themselves. And that's like that. And that's really important.
When I was saying about the thing about high profile, I don't mean that to sound, you should be shooting for high profile. I just mean when you do get people with a profile, if you like, a public profile, it lets other people see that it's fine to be normal.
Aye. It's
fine to be the guy that everybody thinks, or the girl that everybody thinks has got everything in the world. And therefore, that aspect of that thing that was on in the mental health TV show last night, the BBC, were saying that the percentages of people that are successful that kill themselves is quite low to the people that aren't successful. That are on the breadline. But it became, the message to me was almost that these people that are successful, that are suffering from these illnesses and stuff, should talk and say to people, don't think that because you're here in the food chain and I'm supposedly up here somewhere in the food chain that we're any different.
Aye.
Mental health is just it's a thing. It's a bit like alcoholics. And alcoholics, to be an alcoholic, I mean, alcohol will choose anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. Heroin will choose anybody. Don't need to be the wee guy that people walk past and frown at down at Airdrie Town Centre or Bells Hill Shopping Centre or something, and that guy's a waster or she's a waster. I mean, some of the most prolific, successful people in the world were heroin addicts and are heroin addicts, so... it's not it should never be mental health should never be balanced in a way that just because you don't have anything, it means that you don't matter. You do fucking matter. I
think what we need to do is scrap that word normal.
Yeah, because
what is that?
shite.
What is that? I mean, it sounds cliched, but every single one of us are truly different.
Yeah.
You know, we are. So what is normal? I think we need to scrap that word and
you're absolutely
it's
Well,
just,
definitely.
your fingerprints tell
aye,
every single person is different. There's no
Aye.
two the same.
aye, absolutely.
So no, I think it's a brilliant thing these are doing, and we should, you should think about the angle. I'd be happy to do that with you,
I would love it if you did as well, and I hope we can.
I mean it when I say it, honestly, but truly humbled to do that.
Listen, feelings mutual, I want to make a difference in life for myself, and if you can help someone by doing that, then I want to be part of it. I want to be, I always used to say I won't die of exhaustion, but I hope I do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be busy. I want to be productive.
Yeah.
I want to not be someone. I don't want to be anybody. I just want to be a help rather than being stuck in that mire that I was for years with a self-focus.
I think that's where you've mentioned people with profile and stuff like that, and so Craig and I came into this not looking for kind of monetary rewards or fame or fortune or anything like that, but I suppose it's the same as you like hoping that Kenny Rogers picks up that song. It's more so that the message can get out. It's important that the message is heard.
That's the golden goal.
If the more people that hear a positive message, because there's so much. You switch on the news, you go onto social media, and there's so much negativity out there.
Yeah,
I think to get something positive out there, that's the goal. Is to get positive,
100%.
real conversation out there.
I mean, I heard something the other day. It was one of the wee girls who was in the recent European Championships. Again, I'm not sure. I hear half messages. I listen to the radio all the time in the kitchen, and she had taken 2 or 3 years out of her career as an athlete for depression. She was absolutely sacked with depression, and they're the kind of people that would be really interesting to people that are not only high seekers and high profiles, because they don't make up the substantial part of the world. Ordinary people make up the substantial part of the world. But this is an ordinary problem. It's not. It's this.
As you said, it doesn't discriminate.
No, not at
Absolutely
all.
not.
I mean, it's a. And now that it's now that the Jack's out the box and it's no longer taboo as we were saying earlier on. You can now I think people would talk to you a lot more about it, and I think it's such a brilliant issue, and I mean that by it's the difference between life and death. That's how that young guy finished that off last night. You should watch that thing that was on last night, get it in the catch up. I think the last thing that he said was, and if you're thinking about killing yourself, please speak to somebody.
That's what it takes. It really is.
And I thought, what a brilliant message. Just reaching out, speak to somebody, just say, listen, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
Because even if you're dragged away then by the ambulance and you're sectioned, and who cares? It's not taboo anymore. It's not the crazy man that went to Carstairs, or the guy that went to Lennox Castle and nobody ever seen him again. He was in a straitjacket for the rest of his life. Bullshit.
It gets back to what you mentioned a while back, and you were talking about if you're walking down the street and somebody to stop you and say, that's a cracking walk or brilliant haircut and stuff like that. Do you know, there's no one that does that anymore. It takes me back to a time when I was getting, he's a good friend of mine now, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying, he was doing a bit of work for me in the house, and we just get talking, and his son was into music, and I had an old bass guitar, and I thought, well, do you know what? I don't play it anymore. This was my first ever bass. I've got other guitars in the house. Just rather than going out and buy one, here, let him have that. I took it away, and just before he left, he's like, listen, this has been a great day. I've really thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today. And that's not normally something you say before you off. You usually say, right, cool, see you later. But the fact he actually went out his way to say, I've really enjoyed talking to you today.
Wow.
Good afternoon. And the amount of kind of joy I felt just thinking about that, I was like that. And I need to be more like that. And I want to be able to tell people.
There's a bit of suspicion that comes with it. I guess Scottish people are so suspicious of it. It's like, hair's looking cracking, big man. And you think, what a creep. It's that.
Is it a poof?
Exactly.
You know.
Where it's at, no, I'm just paying you a compliment.
Aye.
It is.
I know. And that's, listen, you know, it's good that, you know, because like, you know, an Asian kid that was at our school was something different. A black kid that was at our school, something different. You know, a Protestant and a Catholic going to school when I was young was something different. Now it's nothing. Schools are full of Asian kids, they're full of black kids, you know, they're full of immigrants, they're full of Eastern Europeans. Protestants and Catholics are going to school. My brother's kids playing football teams that they would never have played in because they were Catholics. One of them now plays for Linfield. Just couldn't have got a game with Linfield. They were worse than the Rangers. They didn't employ Catholics. They were taboo. Aye. But now that's all changed. That doesn't mean that anymore. They bring young Protestant loyal Orangemen into my brother's house. You know, when they were nationalistic IRA sympathisers. Not my brother because he was brought up in Scotland, but the family he was married into, and all of a sudden you're just seeing this new generation. You're like, that's the way it should be, and that's the way it'll be with mental health. If people keep talking about it, if you know, and particularly if you do this, you know, because I would never have spoke about it at any length if you hadn't have suggested this.
Oh, really?
Never.
I'm glad it's been a positive thing. It has certainly been for me, and I'm sure you feel the same. And
I've loved it.
You know, and
I said to Craig, I was on the way here, the feeling I had last night knowing I was coming here.
Yeah.
And the way the conversations are going and we want them to go is they're natural and organic.
Yeah.
I was so excited about coming here, and
brilliant.
It's been amazing. It's been truly amazing.
Good. Well, I
can't thank you enough for your time.
And let's we can talk about what's next, and like we were chatting, and hopefully start something. And
absolutely.
For there.
Do you want a coffee before he's going now?
Aye.
I'll make a coffee then.
And a mushroom
brilliant
stroganoff, mate. Your cooking skills. cheesy peanuts.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shinky.
Well done, guys.